Hey everyone, it's Matt Donahue with your weekly market update for the week ending November 14th. It's hard to believe the year's flying by this fast. We're going to talk about something pretty simple but really powerful this week, and it's that we can't control what's going on around us. We can't control that Congress took 6 weeks off because they couldn't get along. We can't control the markets. We can't control what happens with our own bodies. We're going to age. We just can't pretend it's a long ways away. We can prepare for all that stuff with how interesting things are. Preparation does matter more than anything. What we can control is what we choose to do about it. The best thing you can do is prepare. Start thinking this stuff through and then take action. So let's jump into our market update. Last week, the economy is still absorbing the impact of the shutdown. It will drag fourth quarter GDP into what is most likely a mild contraction. That is not because of anything that happened in the economy. It's because the government stopped functioning. Workers were furloughed, food programs were paused, travel plans were canceled. But here's the point. It was a delay. Right? That's all it was. Much of that activity now is going to pick up and shift into the first quarter of 2026. We should see a stronger than expected economic bounce earlier next year, but not everything is going to return. For the Congressional Budget Office estimates we permanently lost about $15 billion in output. And the moment the shutdown ended, new risks appeared. We still don't know whether the Fed will cut rates in December. Tariff rulings are on the deck. Inflation hasn't gone away. And government funding runs out again late in January. So what does the market do? It cools down a little bit. It rotates. It becomes more cautious, but it hasn't panicked. S&P 500 still having a strong year. Technology still leading. Weekly performance is pulling back across most sectors, and investors are getting defensive, but diversification and downside protection are now back in style. As you've heard me say many, many, many times, diversification is key, right? It's not always popular, but it's key. Stay disciplined and not emotional. Shifting to taxes. Veterans Day was last week. I'm a veteran. I was able to celebrate at my youngest daughter's elementary school, which was a lot of fun. But it's also the perfect time to highlight some things many people overlook, especially those of you who are service members. The tax code has some really valuable benefits for you. Combat pay is completely tax-free. It doesn't even show up on your W-2. If you're a reservist or in the National Guard and you get called to active duty, you can withdraw money from retirement accounts without penalty and put it back in, like paying a loan off. Military spouses can maintain their home state residency even if they're living and working someplace else. If that home state happens to be income tax-free, like a Texas, Florida, so is their income. And unlike civilians, military families can deduct moving expenses. They can also deduct uniforms, laundry, travel, housing allowances, and all that stuff tax-free or tax deductible. So tax planning isn't complicated in this case. It's intentional. We just need to make sure we apply what's available. It is still Long-Term Care Awareness Month. The term I like to use is extended care. The reason why is because we're all going to age, we're all going to get frail, and at some point, a lot of us are going to need some help. And that extended care is the difference between living a life with dignity and not putting it all on your family and forcing them to give up jobs, forcing them to deal with the stress of that because maybe you didn't want to do the planning. Let me give you a couple things to think about with this. First of all, healthcare costs rise faster than inflation, 2 to 4 times faster than consumer goods. Health status really, really matters, okay? Someone who's in really, really good health and lives a really, really long time is going to spend a lot more money than someone who's in really poor health and dies relatively early in retirement. When you think about that, if you plan for it, well, that can be the difference between traveling and staying home, helping kids, grandkids, maybe even great-grandkids financially, or needing help yourself. We have to talk about funding an extended care plan. It's a strategy. It's not buy an insurance policy. It is a strategy. Just like when you do estate planning and you have to fund your trust, you should be funding your extended care plan. It's a basic goal, right? Protect your dignity and your lifestyle, protect your family, and preserve that independence for as long as you can. We don't need perfect timing to succeed. Most of the people who try to time the market really get the worst possible returns. Most of the people who try to time what's going on with their health push the envelope a little too far. Do some planning. Build a plan based on discipline, use some tax intelligence, some financial planning intelligence, address those unknown wild cards like healthcare, and do those things, folks, before it becomes a crisis. So as we sprint into the end of the year here, update your tax planning, build that extended care plan now, review it with us, make sure your investments align with your goals, because your future is still favorable if you're prepared. Financial freedom is achievable. Check out a copy of our book. You can still get it on Amazon. But thank you again, everyone. Don't forget as well, yesterday we got our very first toys for our Toys for Tots drive. So make sure you stop by our office, drop off some toys, or alternatively, use your favorite retailer, have them sent to us. Go to the Toys for Tots website, find a local place to go drop off toys. But bring a little holiday cheer to some kid who's going to need it. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.